here with more Space Engineers. And today we're actually doing a bit of a mod review. So I've been playing with some of the orbital mechanics in Space Engineers, or the lack of orbital mechanics in Space Engineers. And there's been a couple of mods that have been added to the workshop recently. For those who have been watching on either the YouTube or Twitch live streams, you will have noticed I have this NavBall now. Really liking this thing. Off to the right hand side of the screen is another mod that was recently added to the workshop that we'll talk about shortly. But for now, the NavBall. I will have links to both of these mods down in the description below. If I forget about it or you don't see them there, the NavBall is the MA NavBall. It's actually made by Autopilot and Whiplash 141. Both people have lots of stuff in the workshop. Definitely head over to check out their stuff over there. Like I said, links will be down in the description for both of these mods. All right, so talking about the mod ball, or the NavBall rather. All right, so what this thing does is there's actually two blocks that this will add to your block inventory. One of them is going to be the NavBall, and one of them is going to be the NavBall camera, right? The NavBall cam. Now, the difference between these two, let me show you. This is the NavBall cam. So what it does is it will put the little holographic NavBall in front of a camera. Because it's a camera, or if you're in a control seat, you can actually see the navigational system update. Now, what this thing does is it will check your velocity for both prograde as well as retrograde, basically when you're talking about motion relative to your direction of travel. Prograde velocity is basically you are traveling, in the direction you're facing. Retrograde would be opposing velocity. Generally opposing the direction of travel. If you are in a gravity well, it will tell you the gravity. If you are looking at actual navigation, it also gives you your XYZ heading. So it's actually very useful. Now when you go into a gravity well, the NavBall will become an artificial horizon for you as well. As you can see, there's an orientation marker there, depending on which way you want to orient. As you can see, we've got it set so that it's basically traveling the way it's supposed to. Now you can flip it, which in theory should work. I have it set like this, where if you're looking at the model of it, there's a small orangish yellow triangle. I have that particular blade on the top of the block. If you flip it 180 degrees, or I should say if you rotate it 180 degrees so that that's on the bottom, the indicator in the center of the screen will actually rotate as well. So do keep that in mind. Realistically, it doesn't matter, at least not that I have found. Basically, it just comes down to what your expectation is and experience with navigation systems. All right, so that tells you where we are here. Now, the mod on the right-hand side of the screen, this is actually the Orbital Autopilot map mod, which is made by Renier. I'm butchering this name. I'll put it up on the screen. Renier. And basically, this thing has a couple of different options. In order to use this mod, you have to have a control block of some kind, be it remote control, control seat, whatever. And you have to name it Orbit Controller. Let me show you what we've got here. So naming it Orbit Controller allows the block to be able to tell, or it allows the script to tell what way is forward, backwards, top, bottom, right, left. Now this is important because of the fact that it is an autopilot script as well, and if you want to use the autopilot script, you have to use the argument on the programmable block, because this is a script. You would use the argument as toggle autopilot, lowercase t for toggle, capital A autopilot, all one word. What it will do is it'll try to align the ship with the target orbit, and then it accelerates you to orbital velocity. Now, the mod author does suggest using one of the speed cap mods, either one that unlocks and gives you unlimited speed, which I never actually recommend. If you are going to use one of the mods, I do recommend using one of the capped speed mods, unless you've got a really, really good system. Mainly because of the fact that the more you uncap the speed, the faster everything has to be able to render. And if your system can't keep up with the velocity of the vessel, you're going to run into problems. Or an asteroid. You know, it's pretty much like real life. Alright. So, once you actually have everything, and you have everything set up, if you put an LCD screen in and you name it Orbit Display, when you run the mod, you will get this display like you see on the right-hand side. Now, I haven't played with everything on this yet. Because there are ways of setting up waypoints. If you have waypoints, they'll show up. This thing will actually show you your orbital indicator. But I figured we would try playing with it on camera together. So it'd be kind of interesting. Alright. Let's see, orbital map can be rendered by adding LCD. I'm reading off of the Steam Workshop. Here. If you add waypoints, also displayed. Alright, so it looks like we actually have everything we need. So what we're going to do is we're going to head towards the planet. Now, I am in survival mode, but I have turned on Space Master. Actually, let's turn that off. Mainly because of the fact that I was being lazy and didn't want to have to go through the problem of gathering everything that we needed to build these parts. Alright, there you go. So, what this is telling you is the planet is obviously the gray circle. The current trajectory is the magenta or orbital line that you see there, the orbital indicator. And the gray line, well, the blue dot that's circling is... I just lost it. Oh, and that's the waypoint indicator. So the green dot you see on the magenta line, that is actually the ship. And you can see the navigation ball has also changed. And what you notice is when you are below the angle of incidence, so you are in a descent pattern, the coloring will change. And then, like any other artificial horizon, the green represents ground, blue represents air. And as you can see, everything updates in real time, which I think is absolutely awesome. Now, what it looks like... Are we moving? No, okay, we are far enough away that the ion engines are able to hold us in orbit. So, yeah, if you're looking for something that is going to add more realism to Space Engineers for you, you don't mind adding a couple of mods in, these are definitely mods worth checking out because they just add so much more immersion to the game. The artificial horizon on the NavBall, this is... So I think everybody knows I've got a couple of mods that are always in my playthroughs now, right? The passageways and more, maintenance tunnels, and this is going to be added to it. And then things like rotary airlocks. There's like 5 mods that I will make sure always get used, and then there's a couple of scripts. I think that both of these things are going to be added to those lists because I've just absolutely loved the work that the mod authors have done on both of these mods. The NavBall mod has actually been updated a couple of times since I started using it, and the updates to the mod have been really interesting. As like I said, as you can see here, this updates the fact that it changes based on if you are in a natural gravity well or if you're in space. I think is absolutely awesome. One of the big things about this that I really like about it is you can now target your actual angle of incident for where you're trying to go. So right now we're in a 90 degree basically a deflection burn, right? Getting out of the gravity well. Anybody who's played Space Engineers knows that you will tend to slide or drift when you're trying to get out of orbit, especially if you're doing things where you're turning off your dampeners. So what will happen is as you're flying now, even without dampeners, you'll be able to see what angle you're at. And if you're at anything less than 90 degrees, you're not taking the most efficient angle out of atmosphere in Space Engineers. Now, in real world, you would actually do things where you're looking at your prograde, retrograde, thrust vectors, and plotting on, you do things like, they call it like the victory roll when you do a launch, because what you're doing is you're actually orienting the ship in a more beneficial angle, and you're trying to minimize how much thrust or how much fuel you're consuming to get you out of the gravitational plane. In Space Engineers, you don't have to worry about that because the planets don't actually rotate, so you can't use that to your advantage, but it's also, can't be used as a disadvantage either. So it's give or take. But I have to say, well done to the mod authors. Really enjoying these things. Thank you for doing this. And like I said, links for the folks that are curious or want to play around with these mods more will be down in the description. And on that note, I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank you all for stopping in. If you enjoyed this, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Not only do the likes and subscriptions and even the comments that you leave down below help the channel to grow and let me know that you're enjoying the content. But, also helps to get the word out there a little bit, because YouTube keeps changing things and they like to mess with everybody. So so be sure you're hitting those likes, be sure you hit that subscribe, and if you want to be kept up to date on the latest releases, make sure you hit that bell, and YouTube may let you know when new videos come out. I'm going to get out of here. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Have a fabulous week, and we'll see you back here next time for more Space Engineers. As always, folks, take care and be safe out there, everybody. All right, let's do this. We're going to go say hello to a planet at high rates of speed.